It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Brimstone. Hey, Brimstone, how are you?
What's going on? Finally, Brimstone has made it to the Douglas Coleman Show, man. I am super excited, super stoked. I've been hearing nothing but good things about you. So here I am. I'm psyched. Let's do this.
All right, let's do it. Well, looking over your bio, you've done many, many things, and I don't know if we're going to get to all of these things in the 15 or 20 minutes that we've got, but we'll try. The first one I wanted to hit on, though, was professional wrestler, because honest to God, you would be the first one that I've had on this show. And
I'm sorry.
And I've done about almost 600 interviews at this point, and you are the first professional wrestler. So congratulations for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I would say former. I haven't been in the ring for quite some time, but I'm still, the moniker Brimstone is my stage name, and I've been Brimstone for well over 20 years. And, at the end of the day, that's what everybody knows me as. So, I even though, I'm not wrestling anymore, it's still a very big part of my history. And, it's, I'm proud of it. If I didn't do the professional wrestling, then, maybe I would have been in a completely different direction. And you never know. You never know what would happen. So here I am, proud of it. This
business is like that. Entertainment, generally speaking, it's all, I did this and that led to that, then that led to that. And that's exactly how it goes.
Exactly.
For everyone. And it's amazing what people did, people now who are quite famous, what they did in the beginning. And if you're driven and hungry, you'll do anything to
this
get.
This is true.
Yeah. To get
almost anything.
Almost anything.
I don't do adult film stuff. That I draw the line. I can't do it. I have a face for radio. So so that's why I did the podcasting thing instead.
It's funny you say that, because I just saw a clip of Howard Stern interviewing, I guess it was a few years ago, but he interviewed Ron Howard. And I guess Ron at one point in his career was considering doing adult film. And I thought that was just hysterical to think,
Wow, that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Richard Cunningham, huh?
Yeah. Well, and he was cool about it, because he kept talking about, why not? I figured, okay, I'll do one, just get one out of the way. Opie gets laid, and then I'll just, move on, because he was having a real hard time making the transition to director, which is what he wanted to do, and now he's quite famous. But at that point, nobody was taking him seriously.
Right. Which is crazy, because talented kid. He's been around since he was such a tiny tot.
Yeah.
And and it's funny, but you know what? Any which way you slice it, if there is, what is it, internet rule number, was it 36 or something like that? It's if there's something in existence, there's a porn of it. So what do you call it? So it might be out there already, Opie. Don't worry about it. It's already done. You don't have to do it yourself. That being said, let's maybe move off that stuff, so this way I don't completely spoil your entire show.
Well, I just want to go back to wrestling for a second, and then we'll switch over to your podcast and other things you've done. I think people know that a lot of that is staged. I don't want to use the word fake, but it is staged. It's primarily more for entertainment. But what I've seen, what little of it I've watched, they do kind of look like they're getting beaten around. Have you been hurt by doing that? Did you sustain any injuries in your wrestling career at all?
I was lucky enough, knock on wood, to never have gotten really seriously injured, except for I know that I took a bad chair shot at one point, and the guy didn't know what he was doing, and he clubbed me with the wrong side of a chair, and from then on, I'm pretty sure it was a piece of my bone that had fractured off, and it created like a bubble around on my head, and I actually literally had that removed right before the pandemic. That was the worst, overall bad thing that had happened. aside from your normal, bang ups and bruises and so forth. But wrestling, it sure as hell is not fake. Everything that we do is calculated and sometimes planned out, sometimes not planned out. We try not to kill each other, obviously, because it is a business, and if you have one of your people is dead, they're not doing business anymore. So you've got to make sure to take care of the other person. We both have families, and we're there to put on a show. So it is high impact, and the fact is if I'm 200 and change or 300 and change, and I'm jumping off a top rope and landing on you, you might not be taking the full brunt of it if I'm, but you are taking a hit. It's not to for people to take lightly. If I'm going to be working with you and we're in front of a camera, I'm going to make sure to lay in the punches. I'm not going to pull them as much as I would if we didn't have a camera a foot away from us. You know what I'm saying? So, right. There are things that, we take care of each other, or at least you're supposed to take care of each other. Not everybody does. But at the end of the day, staged is a little bit better. We're glorified stuntmen, I guess you'd say, to a certain extent. But there's a lot that goes into pro wrestling, and I don't want to give away all the stuff that you can't necessarily find online these days. At one point, God forbid I said anything like this on air or anybody else did, and you'd be blasphemized. I mean, I remember when they first put out that thing with the secrets of pro wrestling, and my whole industry at the time literally lost their minds, because it's like, what are you doing? That part of the allure of pro wrestling is people being able to kind of escape the obvious and kind of let themselves go and just be in the moment, and essentially that kind of destroyed a lot of the allure of the industry. And but people now, they know, and now they're watching it, and some people still think it's 100% real, but it's each their own. It is what it is. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah. Well, the word that came to mind while you were saying that was choreographed.
Yeah. And some of them are choreographed. Some matches are choreographed. Others we do catch can, where you kind of just doing the moves in the ring, and you're working with body language and so forth, where you're trained, what's coming, if you know what to expect, and by certain movements and so forth. And I've worked both. I've worked catch can, I've worked choreographed. I've done a little bit of everything. And the things you got to worry about is when you're dealing with people that work lucha, which is everything's kind of opposite of what it is in America. So anything, so just locking up on one, in the American style is completely different than locking up in a Mexican style. It's just knowing who you're working with, and you can take it from there. Okay.
How's the money in that industry? I mean, you don't have to tell me exactly, but is it good money?
Yeah, depends on, again, depends on where you work and who you're working for and your status. I mean, when I was working regularly, I was making pretty good money. And at the end of the day, not only was I making it to work the match, but I was also doing it at my booth. I would work my gimmick booth afterwards, sign autographs, and sell what we call gimmicks. And, that's everything from 8x10s to, I had trading cards. I had, you name it, and I had it. I was always one step ahead of the game, because I always wanted to make sure that I had, whatever I could have branded, at my booth, ready for, people to purchase. And, luckily I was doing quite well with that. So again, times change. Kids, people that are younger in the industry don't realize that it is a business. And, when you have kids going up to, out and giving away their shirts or giving away 8x10s or whatever that may be, that just hurts the business. Why are you going to come and pay me $20 or $30 for an autograph if somebody's giving it away? Right. It's very important for people to understand that, just like anything else, it is a business and you have to treat it as such. So, some of the newbies started killing certain aspects of it, and others, supported the old school style and kept the the business angle of it, which, again, this is a business just like anything else. You need to make money from it. I need to make sure to support my family. I need to make sure that I'm making X amount of dollars, at an appearance. So, when somebody's sitting and signing 8x10s for free, that does no good for, the people that are sitting there and selling them, because, well, why am I going to go and buy the cow if the milk's free? Make sense?
Absolutely. All right. So wrestling led you to, what did you do after you left that? Where did you go from there?
I mean, I did a ton of different things. I mean, we're talking about, in the grand scheme of things, I started my career in entertainment at 5. I was on Sesame Street and I was on Romper Room. I was a child actor.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started there. Then I went into, I started with art, and I really wanted to be a comic book artist. And, that just kind of took a sidestep when I found the drums, and I became a drummer. And then I toured the world of music before I got into pro wrestling. The reason why I got into pro wrestling is I got sick of being in a 5-way marriage, in music. And, I kind of said, I'm going to take a minute to step back and take a break. And then I got into wrestling, and that wound up taking up a very large portion of my life. But that being said, when I was deciding that I wanted to take a step out of the ring, I said to, at the time, to a friend of mine, Marcello Carnevale, I said, look, I've been thinking about it, and, pro wrestlers essentially are superheroes. They're in the ring. They're superheroes outside of a comic book. And, why not take it and flip it and make the Brimstone character into a comic book? So essentially we sat down for the infamous, was supposed to be an hour-long coffee, spent about 5 hours there. We wrote out the entire Bible of Brimstone and the Border Hound series, and the comic book was soon to be born. So we turned it into the Brimstone character, the gimmick of the character, into nothing to do with wrestling, into a comic book, Brimstone and the Border Hounds. We wound up becoming the only independently owned and operated comic in every Barnes & Noble and B. Dalton in the country. We started out in Borders books, but Borders was closing down, so we pulled from the Borders, and then we relaunched in all the Barnes & Nobles. And, we did that to basically show how big our things were, so to speak, because, you had to play with the big boys. Right. So, we did that, and, from there, I spun that into the animated series. I spun it into the toys. I spun it into the children's books. And then, while I was on the road, I kind of got sick and tired of, I said to my director of operations at the time, Eitan Wish, and I said, Eitan, look, I can't go back out on tour like I did with wrestling and music and not see, the cities that I'm visiting. I said, I need to do something, set us up for something. He's like, well, Brim, what do you want to do? I go, well, I can eat, and I like to talk, and I like to eat. I'm good at it. let's do something with food. So we wound up spinning it into Food Hound Tidbits. Now, Food Hound Tidbits, we did for 3 seasons while on tour, and everything took you from the convention tour, the convention circuit, from the convention floor to the dining room, where we ate in anywhere from 5-star restaurants to mom and pop hot dog shops. And, it was a really cool way to see the country and kind of show people, hey, you can go here. Here's some information. The tidbits part was, we would tell information about, each location that we went to. We did some really, really cool places with some cool history. And it was always a good time. That being said, that kind of rolled me into the foodie products. And, I put out my own line of sauces and seasonings and so forth. And and the list goes on from there. And then I incorporate everything into each other. So somebody might say, well, how does, your sauce and seasoning relate to, comic books? Well, inside the comic books, there's a bar that everybody in Hell hangs out in. And again, Hell is it's a comic book. It's a gimmick, people. I'm a Jewish guy. We don't really believe in hell. It's just a gimmick. Gotta put that out there. But what we did was there's a bar in Hell called Heaven, complete with stairway, if you get that. Stairway to Heaven. So, and inside Hell, inside Heaven rather, in the bar, you can get sweet heat treat wings or Flavor Behavior burgers or Grindhouse burgers and so forth. So that all, translates into the real life sauces and seasonings that the fans could buy, or even if you weren't a fan, you could buy the sauces and seasonings. Everything intertwines with each other. Grindhouse seasoning, Grindhouse in the comics also translates right into the Grindhouse Radio. You see what I mean? So everything that I do in my entire career is in fact tied to one another in a specific manner. So, it's a very interesting kind of web that I have woven.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
Love coffee, huh? But wait a minute. It seems like every time you finish a cup of coffee, you get all of these side effects along with it. Heartburn, digestion, upset stomach, acid reflux. As the world's first and only organic acid-free coffee, Tyler's Coffee is able to provide a healthier option in the solution for more than 100 million individuals who have sensitive stomachs or suffer from acid-related modalities. This is Tyler's acid-free coffee. Coffee without the consequences.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. Don't touch anything. You've got it right where you need it. Tuned in to the Douglas Coleman Show. You heard me.
We were talking about comic books, and on your bio it says that you are a celebrity spokesperson for the Stan Lee Foundation. Do you know J.D. Shapiro?
J.D. Shapiro. The name sounds familiar. I haven't done much with the foundation in a few years since Stan passed. So I'm not familiar. Is he's on the board, isn't he?
Well, him and Stan Lee were like buddies for 15 years. JD's kind of a friend of mine. He worked with Stan for 10, 15 years, writing and doing other projects. JD
was he with Pal?
Well, JD's claim to fame was he wrote that Mel Brooks film, Robin Hood Men in Tights. He was the writer.
Oh, get out of here. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And him and Stan Lee were like best of friends for a long time. So I didn't know if you knew him or not. He's a cool guy. Very cool.
The name sounds familiar. I did with the foundation, like I would do stuff at a lot of the conventions. I would do children's days for the conventions, with the Stan Lee people. I would do a lot of signings for them. And then I did a lot of stuff in, while I was touring, whether it was in libraries or universities or whatever it was. And then when I was in town, or, when I was able to be with Stan, I would always spend some time with Stan, usually, at the POW offices, POW Entertainment, which is where he was, in his later years. It sounds as though your friend probably was more or less around him in the earlier years, more like Marvel time.
I think so. Yeah.
Because I know the name, and I think there was a JD that was a part of the foundation on the board, but I don't recall. Again, I don't remember everybody. But at the end of the day, no, I'm sorry. I don't think I know him. But he sounds like one hell of a fun guy to meet.
Well, yeah, and he's a great guy to talk to. I don't know how involved he is or with the Stan Lee Foundation. All I know is that he was very involved with Stan Lee, the man. And he certainly was very sad about his passing. And, I've had him on the show. We had a nice interview. but I didn't know if he was connected with that at all. I'll find out.
Yeah.
At some point.
It'd be good to know.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, especially in this industry, you meet people, some people come and go, some people, stick around for a long time, and you're just kind of going with the ebb and flow of the business in general. And, with Stan, I mean, he was one of the best people, I've ever known. One of the most, really just real guys, and the conversations that we'd have, and we didn't have many conversations that would just him and I. There were just a few of them where we had that moment that we had the chance to kind of just hang out, just the two of us. Very rare. But at the end of the day, I knew him for, oh my God, we were good friends for maybe about 7 or 8 years before his passing.
Oh,
and maybe a little bit longer. Timelines kind of suck. But every time he would call, he'd go, "Brimstone, I want you to come out and do something for me at this con." And I'm like, "Stan, whatever you need, I'll come out and do it." And it's just sweet dude, man. And it's a shame that I met him so late in life. Because and that's a big part of this industry. Like some of the people that I've become very, very close with or very good friends with over the years, they're later in life, or people that I reconnect with, like Carol Spinney was Big Bird and Oscar. We hadn't seen each other in many years. I was a child at the time we worked with each other, and then we reconnected at a convention where the promoter put us on a PBS channel. Panel together, and he surprised me. He had me hosting it and as a part of it, and we reconnected, and I was reconnected with Carol, and was friends with him until he passed a couple years back. I don't even, it's like time goes by so quickly now, and with COVID everything is just so wonky. Another friend, Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca from Star Wars, so these are people that are just iconic in the industry, and these people were good friends, and it broke my heart, but it comes with the territory, and you don't necessarily get to see each other very often because you're in 50 different directions. Right. Adam West was another one, another good friend, these people, They meant so much to so many people. So having the honor and privilege to be able to say this was a friend of mine, and we spent time together, we broke bread, we toured together, or we spent time together. That for me just is it's everything. It's kind of like a little bit of a cherry on top of everything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely do. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I just want to touch on your podcast. You are currently doing the podcast, right? That's something ongoing?
Yep. The Grindhouse Radio is on iHeart and everywhere else you want to listen to your podcasts. We're on over 30 different networks syndicated worldwide. We're doing between 3.5 to 4 million listeners weekly. It's pop culture. We have a lot of fun with it. We built a business around it. We've won a tremendous amount of different awards, which we're very proud of. We just fell short of the Webbies, so I'm very upset about that. So I will be a little salty on that. But at the end of the day, there's always next year in the future. And at the end of the day, we built a very successful business off of it, and we're always giving back to the community as well. So it's a very cool thing that we kind of just built, and it happened very organically, and it was two of my interns for my Hound Comics Inc. company, Hound Entertainment Group, that they were both had radio backgrounds, and when I was looking into something new to do, I had already purchased the grindhouseradio.com. I was sitting on it. I didn't do anything with it. And I first originally reached out to, I'm in Long Island in New York, and I had conversations, and I reached out to a bunch of the different radio stations here on the island and in New York, and I said, hey, I'm looking to do something, and me, I've been on each one of them as a guest, at one point or time, if not repeatedly, and I know they're DJs and so forth from that. And I said, I'd love to do something here, and I heard crickets, so I said, well, I guess I'm going to do it myself. So I have no problem sitting in. I am not that kind of a celebrity where you kind of just sit back on your laurels and pay people to do things or put your name on something and not have a piece of it. No. I'm very interactive and very engaged, and I have a lot to do with everything. So I said, you know what? Rolled up my sleeves and I started looking into different internet platforms at that point. And then, I decided those weren't the right way to go. And then, I had Kim and Steve showed up at my doorstep as my interns, and we all got along real well. First show we did, we sat around in the headquarters of Hound. We sat around an empty desk after hours with one microphone and a laptop, and we said, you know what, this is magic. An hour went by. This is great. So we wound up, 6 years later, we're still doing it. We're a corporation. We're doing very well, knock on wood, and we've won best radio station on Long Island for 4 years in a row. Wow. Beating out all the AM FM radio stations. So take that for all you fools that didn't want to take me on air.
That's exactly it. Yeah. But what do you guys talk about?
It's everything. I mean, we talk pop culture. We do. We have our mini segments inside our show. We have it's a 2-hour show. So in between each segment, we have our mini segments, which can be anywhere. We have anywhere from music to sports to comic books. Women's empowerment and foodie stuff. And, there's just, and then the show itself is anything from, what we're doing or what we're, it's kind of like a morning show, where you kind of just shooting the it and having a good time and, you know what I mean? And just, talking about all the stuff that we're doing or who we're dealing with. And then we'll have on one of my friends, which will be the celebrity guest for the night. If you go to the website, you can see there's well over 300 different guests that have been on the show. Everybody that you could possibly think of has been on. And, it's just a really cool environment that we've put together. And now, we've branched out. We're doing other shows like I have Within Brimskin. We just did, I think we're at like 110 episodes of that, which is, that's on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. We do a show called The Magic Kim Tom, which is Kim and Tom. They do that Magical Mondays, at 7 p.m. Then we do, Tom and I do a show called Truly Inconsequential, which is all fan-based, so people could tune in live on any of the mediums that we're on. At 2 p.m. Eastern Standard to 2:30, and we talk about all the different, a couple different pop culture characters that essentially, are they consequential or are they truly inconsequential? Did it matter if they were there, like Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars? Did we really need a Jar Jar Binks? You know what I mean? So we have that conversation. We get the fans involved, and it's just a really, really fun show, and so forth. So these are the things that we're kind of branching out into along with our regular show. The Savor the Flavor deal with Kim and I were talking about doing some filming for that soon as a spin-off, in terms of a television series. So we're talking to some streaming networks right now. And there's other things on the horizon as well. Again, I'm not a guy that sits on his laurels. I like to kind of continue to move and, enjoy life. You know what I mean? Put something out there that you wish would be out there. Do things that you want to do,
That's it. Do things that you want to do, and that'll make you happy in this life, because I think too many people are doing things that they have to do.
Right. Common thread.
Yep, exactly. We do have to wrap this up, Brim. Unfortunately, our time is up. Do you have I know you got so much stuff out there. Do you have one website that sort of ties all this together that people can
Absolutely.
go to?
I'm sorry. Absolutely, yes. If you go to www. You notice the old there. I'm old school. I still say www. Yeah. TheRealBrimstone.com. You can find a ton of information. Pretty much almost everything that I do or have been doing will be found on there. And if you want to pick any term of social media to follow me, I'm very, very heavy on Instagram at TheRealBrimstone. You'll see I'm verified on there. You'll know it's me. I engage with everybody. I like to talk to you people. Please follow, talk to me, engage, and let's have a good conversation. I post, at least a few times a week. So, I'd love to hear from you people.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out to come on to the show. I really appreciate it. It was nice meeting you. Nice talking to you.
Pleasure hanging with you, man. I am. It's an honor and a privilege to have been here. Thank you so